Welcome back to Process Cast with Mark Anderson and Samantha Blake, your go-to podcast for insights into business process management and the technologies transforming the way we work. In this episode, Samantha and Mark dive into a business process you can import into your HEFLO account for free. Click the link in the description to get it. Ever hit that submit button on a vacation request and just felt like, ooh, okay, time to relax. I'm done with this.
I know, right? Makes you almost feel like you're already on that beach.
Yeah, but turns out there's a whole other world happening once your request disappears into the digital void.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
A whole intricate system whirring into action, and we're going to dig into it. We got our hands on some internal documentation that maps out every single step.
It's fascinating stuff, actually. It kind of reminds me of those factory diagrams where you see how all the parts come together. You know, you think of requesting time off as this simple thing, but behind the scenes, it's like a well-oiled machine with multiple moving parts and several teams all working together.
And this document we have is like a blueprint for that machine. It's a vacation request workflow. It spells out all the tasks, the decisions, the notifications. It even lists the people responsible for each step.
Yeah, it's incredibly detailed. And what's really neat is it gives us that peek behind the curtain, right? We're going to see all the stuff that normally happens without us even knowing.
Exactly. I think it's going to be really insightful.
All right, so let's dive right in. Now, where does this whole journey begin? Well, with you, the employee. You decide, hey, I need a break, and initiate that vacation request.
Right. You head over to your HR system or fill out a form. And that's what the document labels as the vacation request initiated event.
Yeah.
That's the trigger, like the starting pistol.
Makes sense. So you've taken that first step. What comes next?
Well, then you got to fill out the actual request, provide all the nitty-gritty details. That's the complete vacation request form task. And that's where the rubber meets the road.
Right, because it's not enough to just say, I want time off. The system and the people on the other end need some specifics.
Oh, for sure. They need to start and end dates so they know exactly when you're planning to be out.
And how many leave days you're using up, whether it's vacation day, sick leave, personal time, that's got to be crystal clear.
Absolutely. Plus, the type of leave, is it vacation? Personal. Sick. They need all that info.
And let's not forget that optional comments section, just in case you want to add a little something extra, make your case, hey, I really, really need this trip.
Right. Or please, please, please approve this.
Exactly. So you filled out the form, provided all the details, hit that submit button, and off it goes into the system. But where does it land? Whose desk, so to speak?
Well, it's not really a physical desk anymore, but digitally, your request lands with your manager.
Ah, the all-important manager, the gatekeeper of vacation dreams.
And that's where we encounter the next step, the review vacation request task. And this is a really crucial point.
Yeah, because this is where your request gets that first layer of scrutiny and approval, hopefully.
And what's interesting here is that the manager has to consider a whole bunch of factors, right? It's not as simple as, oh yeah, you deserve a vacation, go for it.
Right. They need to weigh your absence against the team's workload, project deadlines, and all those things that make a manager's head spin.
They need to look at your responsibilities, see if anyone else can cover for you, or if you need to delegate tasks.
And make sure your absence doesn't derail any crucial projects or throw a wrench into the workflow.
Exactly. It's a real balancing act. And they also need to factor in any company policies, like blackout periods, for example. Those times when everyone's needed on deck.
Yeah, those make total sense.
So there are two possible outcomes here. The manager can either say, looks good, approved, or sorry, not this time.
And if it's rejected, that's where the journey ends, at least for this particular request. Hopefully the manager provides some feedback too, so you know what to adjust for next time.
Yeah, good managers will definitely explain their reasoning. But let's assume you have a great boss and your request gets that coveted approved stamp. Now what?
Well, it moves on up the chain. Yeah. And who takes over at this stage?
Now it's human resources' turn to step into the spotlight. It's their time to shine. And the task at hand is to validate the request.
HR validation. This sounds serious. What exactly are they looking at?
It's all about making sure everything's aligned with company policies and regulations. Think of them as the guardians of the rule book, making sure everything's by the book.
So they're double checking to make sure you actually have enough vacation time accrued.
Right?
You can't just request a month off if you only have 2 days saved up.
Exactly. Got to stay within those limits. And they're also making sure your leave aligns with company policies. No sneaky loopholes or anything.
And that your dates don't clash with any important company events, like maybe there's a big conference scheduled during your requested time and they need all hands on deck.
Right. HR's job is to catch those things. They're also looking for any potential conflicts with other people's leave, especially in smaller teams. You don't want everyone gone at the same time. Chaos.
So just like with the manager, there are two potential paths here. HR can either validate it, which means it's good to go, or they can reject it.
And if it's rejected, well, that's another dead end for the vacation request, usually because of some policy thing. Or maybe you really did try to take more time than you had earned.
Makes sense. But let's say you're in the clear. Everything checks out. What happens next?
Then it's time for the good news to arrive. You and your manager get a notification. It's the Notify Employee and Manager task.
Oh, that glorious email that says vacation approved. Music to my ears.
Right. And this notification usually includes all the key details, the approved dates, how much vacation time you have left, any other relevant info, just to keep everyone in the loop.
So now it's time to pack your bags, right? But wait, the document says there's more going on behind the scenes. Something about IT getting involved?
Oh, yeah. And this is where things get a bit more techie. The next step is schedule network suspension.
Network suspension? What does that even mean? Are they cutting off my internet access just because I'm going on vacation?
Not exactly. Well, kind of. What they're actually doing is temporarily deactivating your login credentials and suspending things like your VPN and email access.
Okay, I get the email part, but why would they do all that?
Think security. When you're on vacation and your account's inactive, it could be vulnerable. This is just a precaution to protect sensitive company data and prevent any unauthorized access while you're gone.
So it's like a digital version of locking your desk drawer when you leave the office.
Exactly. It's a pretty standard security practice these days. And right after that, IT usually tackles the set delegate for approval task.
Delegate for approval? What's that about?
Well, if your job involves approving stuff, like documents or invoices, someone needs to cover for you while you're gone, right?
So things don't just grind to a halt because I'm sipping margaritas on a beach somewhere.
Exactly. So they'll temporarily assign someone to handle your approval responsibilities. It could be a colleague or someone else who can step in.
So they basically become you for all those approval things.
Right. Keeps those workflows moving and ensures business continuity.
Okay, so IT's got their tasks covered. Back to HR. What are they up to while I'm gone?
Well, they're not just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. They're actually keeping tabs on your return date. That's the monitor return date task.
So they're the ones making sure I'm not overstaying my welcome, keeping track of those days.
Yep, just making sure everything's on schedule. And there's a neat little detail here. The document mentions a 3 days before return date event.
Like a countdown, 3 days until freedom's over.
Not quite. It's actually a trigger for another IT task. 3 days before your scheduled return, they automatically initiate the Enable Network account task.
So they're proactively getting everything set up for my glorious return.
Exactly. They're restoring your access to all the systems, reactivating your login, reconnecting you to email, VPN, the whole 9 yards.
Ah, that's nice. No need to spend my first day back wrestling with IT issues. I can just jump right back in.
And that's not all IT does upon your grand return. There's one more task for them. Remove delegate access.
Oh, yeah, gotta take those temporary powers away from my stand-in. Don't want any confusion or power struggles.
Exactly. It's all about restoring the usual order of things. Now, what about HR? What's their final move in this vacation saga?
Good question. What do they do once I'm back in the office?
They send out a notification. It's the Notify Manager of Employees Return task.
Just a heads up to my boss that I'm back and ready to tackle those emails.
Precisely. A confirmation that you're officially back on duty and all the administrative and technical stuff is sorted out. And then we come to the grand finale, the very last step in the workflow. The document calls it the Return Completed End Event.
Sounds like a satisfying conclusion to the whole process.
It is. It basically signifies that the vacation request cycle has run its course, from initiation to return. All the I's dotted and T crossed.
Now, there's one aspect we haven't touched on yet, the financial side of things. Making sure you're paid correctly for your time off.
Oh, right. That's an important one. And the document doesn't forget about it. HR takes care of this with the Calculate Payments and Update Payroll task.
They're making sure those vacation days are properly accounted for. whether they're paid or unpaid. No funny business with your paycheck.
Exactly. And they also need to factor in things like overtime or any bonuses you might have earned. And of course, make sure all the necessary deductions are made, taxes and all of that jazz. And let's not forget about those two potential roadblocks we mentioned earlier, rejected by HR and request rejected.
Yeah, those are like the alternate endings to the vacation request story. Not the happy ones, but still important to acknowledge.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that sometimes things don't go as planned. Sometimes HR catches something, or there's just no way to make the timing work. It happens.
So now that we've walked through this entire workflow, it's clear that a lot goes on behind the scenes, even for something as seemingly simple as requesting time off.
It really is. And it highlights all the different players involved, too. The document actually calls them performers. It's like a cast of characters.
So who are these key players, these performers, in the vacation request saga?
Well, first and foremost, there's the employee. That's you. The one who kicks off the whole process and then returns, hopefully refreshed and recharged.
Then there's the manager, who's got that tricky job of balancing individual needs with team priorities and making those tough decisions.
And of course, human resources. They're the ones ensuring everything's above board, that you have enough vacation time and everything aligns with company policies.
And let's not forget the behind-the-scenes heroes, the IT staff, who keep everything running smoothly on the technical side, suspending and enabling accounts, managing delegates, and all that jazz.
It's amazing how much coordination goes into making it all work seamlessly.
It really is. So listeners, the next time you submit a vacation request, remember all those invisible hands working behind the scenes to make your time off possible. It's quite a fascinating journey.
It makes you think, doesn't it? About all those processes we take for granted and how much effort goes into making things run smoothly. All that invisible work.
It's worth reflecting on, especially when you're sitting on that beach with a drink in your hand.
Yeah, that's the perfect time to appreciate the complexity of a simple vacation request and maybe even ponder if there are ways to make the process even smoother or more efficient.
Always room for improvement, right?
Always.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's journey into the inner workings of vacation requests.
Until next time.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to ProcessCast. This episode was brought to you by HEFLO, the BPM platform that empowers businesses to document, automate, and optimize their processes with AI. Experience the intelligence to simplify complex business processes and accelerate your growth with our complete management solution. Visit heflo.com to learn more. Be sure to follow ProcessCast for more insights on business process management, and don't forget to share this episode with your network. Until next time.